to Dylan Deagle. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this broadcast here on Sheyenne Mustang Media. We got a doubleheader for you, starting off with the girls' matchup between the 2-13 Valley City Highliners and the 13-3 West Fargo Sheyenne Mustangs. I'm Jackson Miller. Alongside is Dan Wolf. And Dan, the Mustangs, red hot right now. 10 wins in a row now. It's the longest winning streak now in school history for the girls.
It's just really hard to find adjectives to describe how well they've been playing as of late for about the past month or 6 weeks or so. As you mentioned, the winning streak, the longest in school history, but it's more than that. Winning streaks are fine. It also depends upon the quality opponents that you're going up against. And I think to an extent this team has exercised some demons in beating the West Fargo Packers, in beating the Shanley Deacons, in beating the Fargo Davies Eagles, and beating the Grand Forks Red River Rough Riders and a scrappy Devils Lake team that came in. So, teams that they've traditionally had to really work hard for victories against, they've handled in this winning streak, and they now have cracked into the top 5 of the Class A girls poll.
They're number 3 in the polls right now. And
absolutely.
What's impressive about this winning streak is how fast, it was able to happen. The girls were adjusting to wing and box philosophy, and, it just clicked right away.
Yeah, it did. I think a lot of those first 4 or 5 games were attributed to getting used to that system and buying in and trusting each other and those sorts of things. But, man, once it started, and they haven't looked back to this point. Now they're going up against a Valley City team that is, as you mentioned, 2-13, near the bottom of the EDC. On paper, this wouldn't appear to be much of a matchup. But as you get closer to tournament time, you really got to be sure that you're not looking past opponents. We know the Red River Rough Riders are coming in next Tuesday. This would be a horrible time for Sheyenne to be looking past a team like Valley City and focusing on Red River before it's here. Those games will show up, but you just can't do it ahead of time.
And Valley City did beat Fargo South by 39 points.
They took it to Fargo South only a week or so ago. So, I mean, you never know. You never know in high school sports and especially in EDC basketball. We're going to send you down to the public address announcer for the starting lineups and the national anthem. Fine job by Cameron Holland there, playing the trumpet. Double duty as the public address announcer and the soloist for the national anthem. Kind of had that echoey feeling to it. Not a ton of people in the gym at this point, so it kind of added a little bit of ambiance to the setting here.
We do want you guys to stick around after this game. We are gonna, after this game is concluded, we are gonna switch it over to the boys broadcast. They're taking on the Fargo North Spartans today, and that should be a good one too.
That should be really good. A kind of an unconventional doubleheader. Both of these games are storm makeup days and or games, and we know that
From
this
last
winter has been wild. This Valley City one goes back to a couple weeks ago, I believe, when that game had to be postponed, and now the North game for the boys was just supposed to take place last night, and so they'll be in for a 2 o'clock tip-off this afternoon against what appears to be a re-energized North boys team after the resignation of their head coach, Ted Critchley, last Friday. They went out and they manhandled Devils Lake in Devils Lake and put up 125 points, so that'll be an interesting one, but we won't get ahead of ourselves too much. We'll focus here on the girls.
Yeah. And Travis Hogue has coached those guys most of those guys for a very long time, dating back to the travel ball days, so I think he's going to have a great influence on the program.
I remember back in 8th grade when the big ticket Jackson Miller actually played for me, and again, we played against
Ben Franklin
and Jeremiah Sem and Carter Zeller and all of those guys.
Yeah.
And how'd we do against them?
I mean, I think we beat them both times.
I think we did.
Yeah, both times.
It has to be the players. It certainly wasn't the coaching that time. So, but Travis was the coach of them then. So you're right. He's been around these guys a long time. He probably knows them as well as anyone. And so that'll be an entertaining matchup. I think for the girls, boy, Valley City just needs to hang. If you can hang for about 5 minutes, 8 minutes, you never know what might happen. What you really got to watch is getting run off the floor early and it being a 20-point lead at halftime. That's the danger for Valley City here, is they're going to play some man defense to start.
The Mustangs get the opening possession here. Here's Metcalf, a little in and out action. Back out to Manson, over to Sanders. She's going to drive. Can't get the right-handed finish to go. And here's the Highliners with their first possession.
Oh, good cut
Great
to the basket.
Find, down low for 2.
Well, that's the way to start it. That was Tessa Olson for the Highliners. That, like we said, you can't play afraid in these situations. And that is anybody, whether you're the top-seeded team or the lower-seeded team, man, you just can't play with any fear. You go out and you try and execute as best you can and see what happens from there. So, cold start for the first 2 possessions for the Mustangs, and Valley City has a chance to extend their lead.
Here's Potrats. High post. Down the baseline, it's knocked out of bounds by Sanders. Basketball is a sport where the underdog is going to win when, you don't play to your potential.
Yeah, there's a lot of that belief of, another way to say it is playing down to the level of your opponent. And sometimes that can happen, and we sometimes refer to these situations as trap games, and obviously this is way too early to designate anything, but it's, another thing I think that gets into the heads of the higher seeded team coming in. Sometimes you think, well, we should beat these teams handily, and then you just don't execute the way that you can.
It's going to be a foul on Potrats.
And, Valley City occupies that really unenviable place as we see Metcalf.
Nice finish
using
by
his size.
Maya Metcalf.
Yeah, got that inside position. And
the leading scorer and rebounder for the Mustangs.
But Valley City, good cut. This is almost reminiscent of the
nice finish.
Almost reminiscent
Tessa
of the
Olson.
swing offense that Cheyenne runs as well.
Olson
that
scored.
Cut back door, and they found her twice. As Manson releases.
Manson can't get that one to go from the left wing, short.
But as I was saying, Jackson, for Valley City, they're a team that their enrollment is too large to classify them as Class B. But when you look at their high school enrollment as compared to a West Fargo Sheyenne, Sheyenne is 5 or 6 times larger as a high school. And you got to figure as Metcalf is heating up
coming
here.
out with the first 5 for the Mustangs.
You got to figure when you have 4 or 5 or 6 times more kids, you just are going to have a larger pool of athletes to choose from. And so, Valley City really has to rely on having that, that one special group of players come through. But year in, year out, they're going to struggle just because they don't have the numbers that some of the larger Class A schools have.
Yeah, it's tough to compete with the larger schools. So Olsen came out with the first 4 for the Highliners, and then Metcalf with the first 5 for the Mustangs.
Maybe her and Maya can just play a game of one-on-one to decide this today.
Olsen can't get that one to go from the right wing off of the back iron. Rebound, it goes to Sanders. And here's Breidenbach now. Over to Johnson on the left wing. Breidenbach dribbling around here. Here's a 3 from the corner by Manson. That's short.
One of the things that the Mustang boys coach, Tom Kirchhoffner, has kind of been advocating for in the last couple of years is a 3-class system in North Dakota that would group kind of the largest Class A schools, those largest Class B schools, and then kind of slot everyone else into a Class C or a third tier, however you want to name them. And it's kind of, I think there's traction from some groups who say, yeah, that looks like a great idea, and there are others who say, we like it. We're traditionalists. We like the way that it's been done to this point.
And Metcalf's going to put that one in.
And we're going to get a foul on Valley City with a push underneath. So Cheyenne's should get the basket and retain possession. Or are they going to say the foul came before the basket, it appears? Nope, they gave it to him.
So Brennan Dick into the game. One of the top scorers for the Mustangs coming off of the bench.
Yeah, the second leading scorer on the team.
Second leading scorer on the team. Metcalf can't get that floater to go. Scramble for the ball. Manson gets it stripped from her.
And in that concept for a 3-class system, I think some of the logistics that have to be overcome would be maybe some of the distances traveled for schools, especially we found out this winter that's never a given or a guarantee with the way the weather can be, and it means one more state tournament and lots of things. But, again, for a team like Valley City in multiple sports.
Nice pull-up jumper there by Drew Potratz.
But, that's just tough for Valley City to deal with.
Here's a 3 from Haas. That's long off of the back iron.
Great.
Brenna Dick almost got the rebound. It's going to be a foul on the floor. That's going to be on Deagle. Faith Peterson coming into the game for the Highliners, and we're going to take a timeout. Mustangs coming on with a 7-6 lead. We'll be back shortly.
In this place, we face obstacles like nowhere else. The clock, the trail, the hill, the challenge that's always waiting. When that challenge comes, we'll meet it together. Because it's your chance to show what you're made of. Tenacity, resilience, and the power to prove that the toughest competition comes from within. This is orthopedics and sports medicine like nowhere else.
We're back to action here as Maya Metcalf gets it down low for 2.
The score right now, Maya Metcalf 9, Valley City 6. Good entry pass.
Oh, just a little too strong on that.
They got Egermont in great position, but she's just unable to finish.
And Brenna Dick's rejected down low. Here's a shot by Potratz, and she drains it from the right wing. She's got 5.
Between her and Olsen.
Yep, Olsen had 4. That was my bad. Potrats came out with the pull-up jumper and then a 3 that you just saw right there. So Potrats with 5 for the Highliners. Great crossover. Dribbles through the pressure. And Potrats is rejected by Sanders. And that's going to be on.
Great job by Sanders holding her ground, and then when she saw it was time, going up and not bringing that arm down, just tapping it away. And there's going to be a turnover here. Sheyenne will get the ball. As Fagerlund enters the game for the Mustangs.
Here's Haas being pressured by Potrats. Deflected once again. And a scramble for the ball. That's going to be a foul. Reach in on Potrats. That's her second already. Not even 6 minutes into the game.
Johnson sets high screen to free up Dick. Good running one-hander. Just a little long. A little too hard off the backboard.
Here's Olsen trying to penetrate. Kicks it over.
The one thing you can say for the Highliners, they are a young team. I guess similar to Sheyenne in that regard. That
2 seniors.
Both squads only have 2 seniors. And so far, Potrats and Tessa Olsen, the scorers for Valley City, are both sophomores. So that should bode well for Sheyenne or for Valley City in the future.
And Haas is long on that one. And, yeah, as you were saying, the Mustangs last year, they've been young for the past couple of years. Yep. Last year, they only had 1 senior, which was Jaden Feist. So this is pretty much the same team besides her, who graduated last year.
It really is. And this year, only Olivia Manson is the senior that starts. Obviously, Fagerlund gets a lot of playing time. But really, this is going to be very similar team for Sheyenne next year, assuming everyone returns.
4 out of 5 offensive rebounds. You got to rebound. As you're saying, 7 minutes, and the Highliners are up 11-9.
Yeah, that's, if you can hang, if you can keep it close the first half, you got a chance.
And Metcalf puts it in from the corner.
Once again.
She's got all 12 for the Mustangs. And she's averaging 14.7 points per game, so she's already 2 points away from her average for a game. We're not even halfway through the first half.
But something we've talked a lot about in this run for the Mustang girls, Jackson, has been the ability for different individuals to step up at crucial times. And so, I think that's the biggest part of it is, we know that Maya Metcalf is, probably the leader offensively and those sorts of things. But really, in a few of these games, she's gone up against Mariley Simon. She went up against the center for Devils Lake. The big players for Davies, their post players are also good players. She has not been the leading scorer for a lot of this stretch. So here's a day where,
anyone can play.
Exactly. Today it's me, tomorrow it's someone else. And that's the hallmark of a good team, that you don't force it. You don't try and make something happen that isn't going to happen. You just let it happen naturally, and people step up and make shots.
Yeah. Here's Manson now heavily pressuring on the wing here. It's going to be a reach and foul on Manson.
I think the one thing that it maybe does do is you're maybe a little hesitant to pull the player that does have the hot hand off the floor until someone else kind of proves that they're willing to get in. And, kind of like Mike Nile the other night, I think if you're Olivia Manson, we know she's got that soft touch, that floater going to the basket. Maybe give that pump fake on the 3 and see if you can drive and get one of those floaters. Again, we talked about the other night against Davies for the boys. As a scorer, you just need to see the ball go in. It doesn't matter where it's from, or it doesn't even have to be a pretty shot. That builds some confidence. We saw Nile make a few three-pointers then in the second half of the game as finally
Johnson
adds to the lead. But, for these players, I know it's how the game is played today, the shooting of the 3, but sometimes just getting to the rim is a really good thing. It causes trouble for the defense. You draw some fouls.
Then you get some free throws to go along with that.
That's exactly it.
Which helps put points on the board as well. Here's Breitenbach. We know she can penetrate. Kicks it out to Manson. Manson's short on that one. Hasn't gotten the last few to go from the outside. Halfway through the first half
great
here,
anticipation and help by Carson Sanders.
Carson Sanders bounce pass to Johnson. Sanders a little mid-range and gets the touch.
Good for her. She made a play on defense. She wisely got the ball to an open player and got the return pass, and then she was rewarded with a good open look and a finish there.
So Sanders gets her first points of the afternoon. Here's a three from the top of the key. That's a little long. Egermont can't get that one to go. And Sanders kicks it over to Johnson. Manson fires once again.
There we go.
And there you go. Olivia Manson gets her first points.
11-9 to 20-11. And Valley City's going to have to take a timeout.
11-0 run by the Mustangs. 8:22 to go here in the first half. 20-11.
I kind of wonder where to even begin about what I love about Touchmark. It's everything. It's the time with the residents. It's my team. I work with wonderful individuals every single day. I love the people, and my job is to connect with them. And that's a pretty great job to have, that you get to make genuine, real connections with our residents and our team members. It's just the overall community. That is Touchmark. That's what I love.
Your full life happens here at Touchmark.
Coming back here to live action, you take a look at the latest Class A girls basketball poll. Bismarck Century sits at the top spot, 15-0 on the season, or as of Wednesday, February 9th. And then Mina High coming in at number 2, Cheyenne number 3, Bismarck High at number 4, and then Fargo Davies at number 5. All of those teams are high-quality programs. You know, Bismarck Century being undefeated.
Very much so, as we see Manson heating up. Little heat check there, and she drops another 3. Yeah, it looks crowded at the top of the EDC standings. I'm not so sure about the WDA. I haven't looked at that for a while. But, you know, I think with Red River coming in, you still have a pretty high-quality bunch, and they are bunched between Davies and Red River and Cheyenne and West Fargo High.
I think it's a pretty close bunch between out in the WDA, between Century, Bismarck High, and Minot. All those teams are within a few games of each other. So, you know, they got some close races out there, too. And here's some penetration by Potrots.
Of course, the state tournament will be held in Bismarck this year, the Super A, for the second year in a row. Good drive by Breidenbach. Good screen by Sanders to get her free. Just can't convert.
And we know Breidenbach can get to the rim. And here's Potrots. It's picked off by Sanders.
Well, Carson Sanders is...
She's gotten a couple steals.
She's gotten steals. She's had a block. She's rebounded well. Done a great job as Breidenbach ends up with a double dribble there.
Brenna Dick and Haas back into the game for the Mustangs. Yeah, Dan, you know, the top 4 teams between in the EDC right now for the girls, Red River, Davies, Cheyenne, and West Fargo High, they're all within 2.5 games of each other.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
don't sleep on a Shanley.
Yeah, Shanley's only 4.5 games behind.
That's just it, you know, and they have quality players, and, you know, we know that they were able to defeat Cheyenne here over the Christmas break.
By 3, 55 to 52.
You know, and they were up big, Shanley.
Sanders
hits
one from the corner.
The Mustangs are heating up. But, you know, Cheyenne made a great second-half run and just kind of ran out of gas at the very end. But, you know, that's another team.
That's the last time they lost. Since then, it's been 10 wins in a row.
It's been about 6 weeks here.
5:59 to go. We got another fast first half here. Only 6 fouls combined between the two teams. The Mustangs only have 1 of those 6 fouls. Here's Brenna Dick now. Kicks it out. The reversal action. Metcalf, top of the key, goes to her right-hand side. Kicks it back. A little 2-man action here. And Vargoland dumps it into Metcalf, and Metcalf finishes off of the glass.
This has a very reminiscent feeling to the game that Jaden Feist had against Fargo North last year when she put up close to 30, and that's just kind of how it feels with Metcalf. She's feels comfortable inside and outside, not thinking and just letting it go in rhythm.
I believe that was a record-breaking performance by Jaden Feiss.
That was. I believe that is
most points in a single game.
The placeholder for the most points for a Mustang girl in a game. So with a 15-point lead here and 5 minutes to go for Valley City, you got to see if you can reel this in and maybe get it to just under double digits. If you could go in at 9 or 8 down, you would actually have to feel pretty good about things. As we're going to see
from the corner, that's long. That was by Olsen. Shot clock violation. Yeah.
But if you can pull that in and maybe get it to under double digits, then you feel pretty good going into the half. But if Cheyenne's able to make a little run here and extend this even further, we might see a lot of the bench players in the second half.
Mm-hmm. Mustangs on a 17-2 run and a three by Fagerland from the right wing, and now it's a
22-2 run.
Yeah, it was 11-9. It was 11-9 lead for the Highliners a few minutes ago, and that's going to be another turnover. It's going to go back to the Mustangs. And Brooke Johnson coming into the game for Sanders.
And so, again, for Valley City, not having seen that victory of theirs over Fargo South, I'm sure they did what they could against Addie Wagner and just kind of dared the rest of the team to beat them. But with Cheyenne playing so well, with so many people contributing right now, there's just, it's really hard to focus on one person. And we know Metcalf has done the bulk of the scoring for the Mustangs, but here they've gotten hot in the last few minutes. It's just so hard for a team to do anything about that.
Well, you know what teams hot when they're on a 22-2 run.
Yeah. Well, it's not only that they're probably shooting well, but they're also probably defending and turning the other team over.
Turned up a bit. They flipped the switch on the defensive end as well. We're going to take a timeout here. 4:15 to go. Mustangs remain hot here in the first half. Mustang fans, we want to take the time to thank our game sponsor, Apex Engineering Group. At Apex, we build confidence before we build anything. Find out more at apexenggroup.com. Here's Haas now. Just a little over 4 minutes remaining here in the first half. Mustangs up 18, 31-13.
Little zone look now for Valley City.
Yep.
Try and change up that look. Metcalf's working hard in there.
Here's a nice shot by Brenna Dick on the baseline. It's now a 24-2 run. Great dump pass. It's
great
knocked
job
away,
by Haas getting she was giving up some size and height there. A little three-quarter over the top, pokes it away.
Johnson can't get that one to go from the corner. Great pump fake here. Here's Olsen. And gets to the rack and one.
I think as much as anything, that's maybe a recognition that, or a lack of recognition that Olsen is a lefty. And that set up just great for her left-handed drive and getting to the basket as Brenna Dick picks up her first.
Olsen came out with the first four for the Highliners. Down low on the right block. Can't convert the three-point play. Here's Brenna Dick now. Over to Haas, reverses it to Manson. Cross-court pass, a skip pass to Fagerland, and she hits it from the right wing. That's her second of the afternoon from the outside. Leads up to 21 now for the Mustangs. Three from the top of the key. That's short. That was shot by Thorson.
Back in for the Mustangs is number 3, Peyton Breitenbach.
And Breitenbach coming back in for Brenna Dick. Man, not a lot of fouls from the Mustangs here. Only 2 team fouls.
Yep.
And that pass is thrown away. Foggerland was looking for, I believe, Carson Sanders down low there on the right block.
Just led her a bit too much as she was moving into that low block area. But it did go off Valley City, so Sheyenne will retain possession here. 18 on the shot clock. Good find right there.
Oh.
That was a great move by Sanders to find that soft area, and a good look, just a little long off the back iron.
Great drive by Peterson.
And a good follow-up by Peterson. Other Peterson.
Peyton Peterson.
No
number 10.
relation, I think.
Yeah.
Spelled differently.
And Sanders is going to be fouled on the way up.
What I liked about that for Carson Sanders, she got it and did not hesitate. She cut in between those 2 Valley City defenders, essentially forcing them into a position where they either had to foul or they had to let her get to the basket, and she's going to go for 2, and she makes the first. As Maya Metcalf returns for Caitlin Haas.
Some of the other action going around for EDC girls basketball today. This morning, West Fargo High took on Fargo South at 10:30. We have yet to see a score update on the EDC website from that matchup. And then Devils Lake is at Fargo Davies. They'll take them on at 4:15 this late afternoon. And then a few of the other games from yesterday are postponed to later dates. West Fargo Cheyenne's going to take on
Good job by Egermont. She got Metcalf on her left hip and kind of rode her up a little bit up the lane, and then got a good look, strong take to the basket.
So West Fargo Cheyenne's matchup against Fargo North, as I was saying, is going to be moved to February 17th.
For the girls.
For the girls.
Yep. Yeah, you're just running into that position now where the number of days to get games in is shrinking. And so you've got to try and fit them in where you can. You kind of wonder how that may impact some teams playing some back-to-back nights or maybe 3 in a week. But, Jackson, I think I would take that as a almost a positive in that, if you make it to the state tournament, you're going to play 3 days in a row, and you may not have a full 24 hours of time between games to recuperate. Yep. And so it's a completely different mindset for a team when it's that quick of a turnaround. You don't have time to prepare for your opponent the way that you would have liked to, as Dick is going to get going a little too fast and double dribble. But that could be a benefit for some teams, or it may hurt them, I guess. It kind of depends upon how you look at it. I think as a coach, I would embrace that as an opportunity to prepare for the opportunity that may present itself in the state tournament.
Compared to last year, I think it was due to COVID. There was a gap in between the quarterfinal and semifinal rounds for the boys and girls. The boys started on, I believe it was Thursday, and then the girls played their first round games on Friday, and then the semifinal games were Saturday night, and then the championship games were on Sunday. Now it's back to the original format where it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not a gap in between there. Here's a drive by Olsen, kicks it into the corner. Back out to Egermont. She fires a 3. That's short. That's going to be out of bounds. 26.6 remaining here. The Mustangs are going to get the last shot here if they run down the clock. And Brenna Dick's going to be running the point now. Kicks it over to Fagerlund. Metcalf in the corner. Cross-court pass to Dick. Here's Manson back to Dick. 12 seconds remaining here. Brenna Dick gets a screen from Sanders. Gets the shot. Great look. Just a little bit that one. And then when the clock's going to wind down and the Mustangs are going to have a 38-19 lead here going into halftime. A slow start by the Mustangs, but they got things going with a bit of a run.
It was slow, and, Valley City was holding close. In fact, had a 2-point lead at around 11 minutes left in the first half, and it looked, really like, boy, this is all going to hinge on Maya Metcalf. But after that, the Mustangs really took off, and I think probably a little more balance in scoring than what you might have anticipated when it was all said and done. For Valley City being down 19, that's not the space you want to be, but it is what it is for them. So we'll take a break here, and we'll come back with some first half highlights and analysis and get you ready for the second half.
In this place, we see potential like nowhere else. Here, vision is boundless. That's why we never settle. We look for the moments when everything becomes possible. The moments that inspire us to make every day better. In this place, there's no such thing as good. There's only great. This is orthopedics and sports medicine like nowhere else.
Why do I choose to work here? It's the people. It's the feeling that you get when you've been gone for a weekend and everybody's genuinely happy to see you and you're so happy to see them too.
They are wonderful. The staff is wonderful. They are so friendly. They're so happy all the time.
It's a family. It's just that overall culture that we have. It's a great culture and I'm very lucky to be a part of it.
Your full life happens here at Touchmark.
Mustang fans, we are back here. The second half is about to get set underway here in just a little over 6 minutes. We got a halftime interview for you in store. We got Ron Wingenbach. He is the father of Kenyon Wingenbach, and he's also and Ron's the head coach for the Bismarck Century football team, and he's also the former coach for Tom Kirchhoffner, our Mustangs boys head coach for basketball. You know, Kirchhoffner played football out at Century, a while ago. So, he's up here. Thanks for coming up, Ron. We appreciate having you.
Well, thanks for the invite.
So, Coach, you've coached for a lot of years. What's tougher, coaching your own team or being a nervous father in the stands and watching your son coach? I realize two different sports being a head coach for, but which do you find more difficult?
Well, I thought initially that it'd probably be, the Friday night lights on the sidelines, but I'm not so sure anymore. We really enjoy coming to the games here in West Fargo, and I don't think my wife and I have missed a game on Mustang Media as well all year. So it's really exciting time for a lot of people, and it's nice to see the success that they've had.
So, Coach, obviously your football season maybe didn't end the way that you had hoped, but what was it like with Kenyon having been a member of your staff for so many years and then obviously him moving to West Fargo? Was that a very different feeling, or were you confident with the people that replaced him, and did you lean on Kenyon's opinion at all over the season?
Well, I wasn't very confident in the person that had to replace him on the coaching staff, because that was me. And I think the one thing that our whole staff really missed this year is his attention to detail. And I think, as you well know, he's kind of a nerd in terms of stats and some of that film watching and so on and so forth. And he brought a lot to the table at all of our team meetings in terms of tendencies, et cetera. And you kind of see the same thing on the basketball court. They're very well scouted, all of his opponents, and that's really a big part of what he brought to the Century football program as well, in addition to just doing a great job with the quarterbacks.
Coach, I don't know if you had an opportunity to see it, but there was a very nice article a couple of days ago about Kenyon and about the success that the Sheyenne team has had, a 10-game winning streak, the longest in school history. They're up to number 3 in the rankings. Does it surprise you that as being a coach, being a new face, how quickly this team has kind of embraced what your son wanted to do and the success they're having so quickly?
Well, I think, visiting him with him this past summer, I think he knew he had a lot of talent to work with in terms of depth. I think that's the one thing that he kept saying is, there's a lot of girls that can play a lot of different spots and so on. And we were down here prior to Christmas and watched a few games, and to sit here now today and watch that same team, I think one word that probably sticks out is confidence. And the girls have really played with a lot of confidence here the last 3 to 4 weeks. And obviously a lot of that has to occur in practice. And I know he was kind of frustrated with the weather because they got postponed some games early when they kind of got in a rhythm, and then consequently a lot of the practices got postponed as well. So with that being said, I think they've come a long way, and yet you can see that the growth here in the next 3.5 weeks is still something that they've got to improve on as they head into the EDC tournament.
Well, that's a word we've used a lot in our broadcast, is confidence, and just the ability of individuals to step up and make big shots at crucial times and those sorts of things throughout the season. Now, you obviously have seen the Bismarck Century girls, who we know are as close to a dynasty as you get in Class A girls basketball. You've seen them. We're not going to ask you to pick a winner here, but relative to the strengths of each team, how do you think the teams in the East might stack up against the Bismarck Century? And I'm just going to point out also, we're going to run some first half highlights here from our sponsor Touchmark here as Coach Wingenbach gives us his thoughts.
Well, I think the one thing that you see a little bit of contrasting styles, a little bit East versus West, and like you said, I got a chance to watch a lot of the Western teams play, and the one thing especially out East is the size factor. They're definitely going to have the advantage. Now, when it comes to just getting up and down the floor and athleticism and speed and ball handling and that type of thing, I think there's some teams in the West that really do that quite well. So it's going to be kind of interesting because you do have, like I said, kind of a change in philosophy as to shot selection and what you're going to see in terms of just overall athleticism on the court. But certainly any team out here can match up with any team in the West and vice versa.
Well, and we know that kind of a hallmark of those teams from the West is that tenacious man-to-man D, and I think that's something that Kenyon has certainly brought. Probably see a little more zone in the East, but that's not a philosophy that he believes in. Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming up and taking a couple minutes with us. The one burning question for all fans of high school sports is, as we were told to ask, which former quarterback for the Bismarck Century Patriots would you like to have on the field in a must-win game? Would that be Tom Kirchhoffner or Kenyon Wingenbach?
Well, I tell you what, they both were on the field in must-win games. Tom was our quarterback in 2000 when we played the Demons in the semis, and Kenyon got the honors in 2003 against the West Fargo Packers, and the results were the same. We came in second, so we'll call it a tie.
Perfect. Hey, Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We hope that you're able to catch as many of your son's games as possible, and best of luck to you and your squad next year, and we hope you get to watch your son maybe hoist a basketball trophy and add that to the Wingenbach collection as opposed to just football trophies.
Well, we really appreciate it, and we really enjoy Mustang Media. You guys do a heck of a job.
Thank you, Coach. Nice to meet you. Well, we rejoin action here in the second half. Coach Wingenbach gracious enough to spend some time with us. And for those folks who maybe have never met Kenyon, super nice guy and great person, and obviously a lot of that's going to be attributable to his parents and
Ron,
the examples that he's set as probably as a father and as a head coach. And so we really appreciate him taking the time to visit with us here. We're about a minute into the second half. The score remains the same, still 38-19, as Egermont's going to drive down and get up a left-handed hook.
Can't get it to go.
Follows her shot, and it's going to be out on Sanders, and now I'm talking Century. The Highliners, Valley City, will retain control.
Folks, we also want to remind you that those halftime highlights were sponsored by Touchmark at Harvard Groves, a full-service retirement community complete with a health and fitness club offering fitness classes, personal training, and more so you can stay active with your grandkids for years to come. Visit touchmarkfargo.com to learn more. So here's a three from Manson. That's long on that one. She's kind of struggled from the outside besides the 1-3 she hit. And Manson's going to get to the rack. Floater can't go. Still remains scoreless here in the second half between both of the teams, as we are a little over a minute into the second half. Potratz trying to drive, kicks it back out, and a three's made.
That's Olsen.
Tessa Olsen from the outside.
So she started the scoring for the Highliners in the first half.
Came out with the first four, and now comes out with the first three here in the second half. A three from the corner by Metcalf. That's long.
Great position by Brooke Johnson.
Falls into Johnson's hands.
Great job establishing position inside of Peyton Peterson. And really Peterson, her only option was to let Brooks score or try and block it. And that ends up with a foul as Brooks going to go to the line for two.
She'll put in the first.
Something that we saw at the end of the first half was a little more of a zone look from Valley City, and it looks like they're going to continue that for the time being. Although Carson Sanders working the middle of the interior of that zone and getting the ball easily and kicking it out to Metcalf, although she missed. Great block by Metcalf. Oh, he must have decided the side of her foot was on the line.
Great post move. Tries to go up on Sanders. Great defense by Sanders. Standing straight up. Potratz fires a three in and out. Rebounded by Metcalf. Thrown away. Breitenbach couldn't come up with it. And here's Tessa Olsen now who got the steal. Kicks it back out. Potratz once again. Can't get that one to go. Olsen almost got the rebound. But Johnson comes up with it. And here's Sanders now pushing the tempo. Finds Manson. Great save to Metcalf. And Metcalf can't finish. Gets her own board. Back out to Brooke Johnson. She fires. That's short. And Potratz with the rebound. Trying to look for, that was Olsen trying to look for Egermont down low there. Just a little bit too strong on the pass.
Egermont had position, but that's such a difficult pass if you don't practice it a lot. And a lot of it depends upon how that post reacts. You have to follow as that ball is going over your head. You have to leave that defensive player and follow that to grab it. And Egermont was too busy still trying to establish that position against Metcalf and unable to get through there. Great drive by Peyton Breitenbach, and I think that's her first 2 points of the game. And we know what a big part of the victory she was against West Fargo High, and Davies, and she's been quiet. But again, that's what we're seeing from this team right now, is just people stepping up at different times. And as Ron Wingenbach mentioned at halftime, that idea of confidence, and if you listen to our broadcast, that's what we've talked about for really about the last month, is the amount of confidence that this team is playing with. And I think it starts with the coach saying, I'm comfortable. If you see a shot that you like,
that's the Fagerlund from the outside.
Third, I think, for
Fagerlund. Three-pointer. Fagerlund, she can stroke it from the outside.
You bet she can. But I think, Kenyon just lets the players, if they see that they have a shot, take it. We've got your back. We're okay with that. And so that confidence just kind of builds from there. And then when you see one go in or you see a teammate knock one down, then that just
gets
raises
you going.
your
Yeah. It's just it's contagious.
Great hustle there by Breidenbach. It's going to go to Valley City, but sacrificing the body on the fumble drill there. Haas going to enter the game for Breidenbach, and Brooke Johnson for Maya Metcalf.
So you take a look at the upcoming schedule here. After today, the Mustangs will take on Red River at home to complete a 6 home game stretch on Tuesday, and then they'll take on Fargo North on Thursday on the road. Back at home against Central on the 18th next Friday, and then Valley City once again on the road on Tuesday, February 22nd, and that does it for the regular season, and then it's tournament time after that.
Boy, that's only a week and change away.
Oh,
it seems.
Can't wait.
It seems like it was a long time ago that the season was just starting, but once you get into it and the games start just kind of ticking off, boy, it goes so quickly. Great job by Peterson fighting for the ball, misses the putback, but Valley City will retain possession.
And the dates for the EDC tournament, the play-in games will take place at the higher seed on Saturday, February 26th, and then the quarterfinals will take place at the higher seed as well on Tuesday, March 1st, and then the semis and state qualifier and championship games will take place up at the Shack on North Dakota State University's campus. The semifinal games will be Friday, March 4th, and then Saturday, March 5th will be the third round games for the EDC tournament. And then after that, it's the state tournament, which will take place out at Bismarck, as you said earlier, Dan, from Thursday, March 10th to Saturday, March 12th.
And I think there's almost two virtual certainties here. I would think definitely on the boys' side, but I would be reasonably confident on the girls' side without doing some quick math here, as Haas lets ones go from the wing, just long. One, neither the Sheyenne boys or girls are going to have to worry about that play-in round on that Saturday.
Yep.
And both should be able to host an opponent on that Tuesday. So that's a big deal. You know, if you can be the host site for that quarterfinal game, 100 years ago when I played in the EDC tournament, the entire thing was done at NDSU. So there was no home game for that first round, and that's a big deal. You know, if you can get someone coming in, a lower seed that you've beaten maybe once or twice, swept during the season, and to get them at home one more time, and then move into that semifinal opportunity where, you know, if you win that semifinal game, you've punched your ticket to state.
Yep. For those who don't know, you know, how the EDC and WDA tournaments work, you just have to win 2 games. It doesn't matter if you lose your first game. If you win the next 2, you go to state, or if you win, lose, and then win, you go to state, or if you win your first 2. So in the EDC championship, you play for the 1 seed from there.
Then it's about seeding, and, you know, it's always interesting, those early games, as we see Brenna Dick with a great steal and finish at the other end. And now that brings the lead back up to 19, and a quick timeout, full timeout by the Mustangs.
Mustangs lead 47-28, 12-14 to go here in the second half. We're back to live action here, coming down at the timeout. So as we were talking about the tournaments, Dan, you know, also with the format, you know, the semifinal games, the people who lose the semifinal games will have a crossover for the state qualifier games of the people who win or for the teams that win the consolation semifinals, and then they play for a 3 or 4 seed. It depends on who's the higher seed between the two winners in those state qualifier games. You know, compared to Class B, I think what makes Class B interesting is it's harder to get to state.
Oh, you bet it is.
Especially back when my dad played back in the 80s, you had to be top 2 in your district and then win your region tournament.
Yeah,
you have
one
to win
loss
3 in
at
a
the
row.
region tournament and you were done. Yeah, it didn't matter anywhere. You had to win all 3 games of that region tournament, still the same way today. So that is indeed the tougher road, just because of the sheer number of teams and the number of regions, 8 different regions in the state. Great take by Olsen. Again, she's a lefty, and she gets to the basket, only a sophomore. But if you love high school basketball, boy, it's tough to find a better way to spend a day than that Saturday of those play-in games and championship games that will be at the Shack on the Saturday of the EDC tournament, because every game means so much. Everybody, at least in those first 4 games of the day, for the 2 for the girls and the 2 for the boys. Oh, great steal by Brooke Johnson. She has wide open all day.
Oh,
misses.
a little too hard off the glass.
Put back by Haas.
Those happen.
But you know, the intensity and you know, everyone knows that win and you're in, lose and your season is over, and that's so much pressure, and it's a great atmosphere to be a part of.
And I believe the Region 1 Class B boys region tournament is held at the Shack as well.
And, you know, no offense to any other venue in the state, but I really, to me, there is no better atmosphere and no better venue to hold high-impact, important basketball games in than at the Shack. Just that bowl setting, there's no bad seats in the lower bowl. You're able to have a great view of what's going on the floor, and I think that's a great place.
Hopefully the state tournament will be held back there soon. It was held there in 2020. Unfortunately, the state tournament was not able to finish the year it was hosted in Fargo, and then it was also hosted there in 2018 when the Sheyenne boys got to the state championship against Bismarck Century, and they fell by 7, 63-56.
And the one disadvantage, there's no accompanying venue. They use the Fargo Dome for the first round games of the girls, and then the consolation side of the bracket. They use the Fargo Dome somewhat, and not nearly as intimate and not nearly.
It's hard to.
It's a hard.
There.
Yeah, it's a hard place to do. Where Bismarck does have the convention center and the Bismarck Civic Center, so they have those two.
The
those
events,
two venues that are hooked together like that.
The event center out there, you know, that's also a great
it is.
atmosphere. I went out and watched the state tournament last spring.
Yep.
And that was my first time in that building. It's a pretty big building. I believe it was also the home venue for the former G League, whereas now it's called the G League.
Yes.
For the NBA, the Dakota Wizards, when it was called the D League. They were the minor league team there for a while. Before they ceased, and they're not a team anymore.
Yeah, and I got to believe when Fargo had some, NBA developmental leagues here, they had to play at the Fargo Dome, and it was tough for them to draw fans consistently and everything. And I think the venue has just as much to do with it as does the quality of the basketball. So the Mustangs up here by 21 with 10:07 left in the first half. Or second half, excuse me. 3 fouls, team fouls for the Mustangs this half, 2 for the Highliners.
It's been pretty even scoring. The Mustangs with 15 here in the second half, and then the Highliners with 13.
A little 1-2-2 zone look or a 3-2 zone look is giving the Mustangs a little bit of trouble.
They do recover here, though.
They've been some bad passes. They've gotten good looks, but then they've also had bad passes, and that's a great
move by Breidenbach, and she finishes with the right hand. Great pump fake.
That little pump fake, that nod of the head that got that defender to bite on that. And an easy basket for Breidenbach.
Here's a drive.
There's Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson. Can't
Off
get
the
down
back
to go.
iron. Brooke Johnson.
Brooke Johnson wasn't even aware, but she comes up with it. Great pump fake. And converts this time in transition, 57-32 now.
Good idea for that jump stop. Let that defender go flying by.
Breidenbach almost got the steal, and it's stolen away by Manson. And Manson's going to be a little too strong off of the glass.
So much of that is dependent upon the angle that you take at the basket. You've got to get to that lower block on the free throw lane. If you can get to that angle, it's really hard to miss it. But when you come in so straight on, it's really got to be soft, that shot. And if you're going so quickly, it's really hard to do that. So we'll take a quick break. Mustangs up 57-32.
I kind of wonder where to even begin about what I love about Touchmark. It's everything. It's the time with the residents. It's my team. I work with wonderful individuals every single day. I love the people, and my job is to connect with them. And that's a pretty great job to have, that you get to make genuine, real connections with our residents and our team members. It's just the overall community. That is Touchmark. That's what I love.
Your full life happens here at Touchmark.
We're back to live action here. Mustang Media wants to take a few seconds to remind you that Essentia Health is the premier sponsor of Mustang Media. Essentia Health like nowhere else.
So with 9 minutes to go and the Mustangs up 25, I've got to believe within the next couple of minutes you might start seeing Coach Wingenbach go a little bit into the bench and get some girls up and playing that maybe don't get to see a ton of varsity time. And that's important too. As we're on a 3-second like call there, but you've got to cut your teeth somewhere. You've got to kind of learn how to deal with the pressure and feel what it's like to be out there. And I think really the biggest difference between maybe a sophomore and a JV or a JV and varsity game is just the speed at which everything happens. And when you're not used to that, as the Mustangs again
got to get experience developed.
Yeah, you just got to get used to what that speed difference feels like out on the floor. And so these are great opportunities to get some of those younger players in, but the added benefit of giving your players a little bit of rest. It's been such a goofy year, and as we go down
once
the stretch,
again with the pull-up,
leading
scorer for the Highliners.
You're going to have a situation where, like we said, playing those games back to back to back or something like that, it gives you a chance to give a little bit of rest to players as you're trying to work on that idea of playing multiple games in just a short period of time.
Breidenbach kicks it back out to Manson, fires wide left. She's gotten one to go, but that's the only hit she's had back in the first half. Poe Trotz tries to dump it in. It's knocked away by Sanders.
Sanders has had a really nice all-around game, just kind of disrupting things defensively, with rebounding, with some steals, those sorts of things. Been a really nice job by Carson Sanders today. Things that obviously show up for the coaches and the things that they're looking for in terms of steals and rebounds, but maybe looking at a box score when you don't see that she had 18 points or something, you might think, well, did she have a good game or not? But really Carson Sanders has played well defensively today and contributed on offense. So Elena Holder's going to get her first action of the day here as we get some of these.
She's going to drive and finishes with the right hand.
And I think what I like most about Elena Holder is how quick her shot is. When she gets the opportunity, I think she'll probably need to still work on developing that outside game a little bit and shooting from the outside. But from 8-10 feet, she's really good, and she's so quick on pulling the trigger.
Ooh, almost got the N1 putback. She's going to go to the line for two.
That's the key for – doesn't matter if you're a girls or boys player. When you're in traffic, the quicker your trigger, the faster you can get a good aim shot up, the better off you are, and that's something that Holder is very good at. One of two for Holder at the line. 26-point lead for the Mustangs as we dip under 7 minutes to go in the second half.
There's a three from the corner, and that's long. That was by Peyton Peterson. Yep. Brenna Dick dishes it off to Brooke Johnson. And one finish on the left-hand side. A little kiss off the glass, and Brooke Johnson's going to go to the line.
Great job by Brenna Dick drawing that defender, and then the key there was the bounce pass. Delivered right where Johnson wanted it.
That's 4 on Deagle.
And she goes for 3 the old-fashioned way, misses the the free throw, but extends the Mustang lead to 28.
Here's a 3 by Olsen. As she's got a great left-handed stroke there.
She is only a sophomore. She's proven that she can score inside and outside. She handles the ball. She's run that top position on this 3-2 zone look at times.
And Brad Day gets to the rack easily, finishes with the right hand.
I think
she's very quick as well.
Absolutely. Tessa Olsen is a name that we'll hear frequently in the future.
For the Highliners.
Yep. 30-second timeout for the Mustangs. We'll take a quick break and be back.
In this place, we see potential like nowhere else. Here, vision is boundless. That's why we never settle. We look for the moments when everything becomes possible. The moments that inspire us to make every day better. In this place, there's no such thing as good. There's only great. This is orthopedics and sports medicine like nowhere else.
Mustang fans, we want to remind you of one of our sponsors, Bell Bank. Bell Bank Mortgage is proud to support West Fargo Cheyenne sports. Whether you're in the classroom, at home, or both, we hope you're inspired this year to push yourself beyond what you even imagined and never stop learning. Go Mustangs! Bell Bank Mortgage, equal housing lender.
So some new faces on the floor for the Mustangs. Carly Erlacher seeing her first action of the day. Jordan Bile in.
That was her who shot that in the corner. Looked a bit strong on that one. And here's Potrotz. Cashes it from the left corner. She's gotten a few buckets for the Highliners today. We dip under 6 minutes with 5.5 to go here. Mustangs up 64-40. Here's a 3 by Erlacher. That won't go.
Good find by Holder. She got the ball on that interior, and that's how you attack a zone inside out.
Knocked away by Erlacher.
When you can get that defense to collapse on you, that should open up looks to the outside, and there was a good look for Erlacher, just a little short on the 3.
Great find inside. That's going to be a finish on the left-hand side. And that's by Deagle. She's got 4 fouls. Nice reversal action. Great ball movement. No dribbling. Just moving the ball around through this Highliner zone. 10 seconds on the shot clock now. Mustang's got to get a shot off here. Great find inside. They get a look. Oh, and that was Fagerlund who almost put it in.
That Holder was going to, it was. I didn't think there was enough time when Holder kicked it out for that look from Fagerlund, but it was a good look and plenty of time, just unable to connect.
Great defense picked off by Erlacher. And she's going to push it now for the Mustangs. Gives it up to Fagerlund. Back to Erlacher. Reverses it to Bile. And here's Haas in the corner. Got it to Holder. And it's taken away, though.
Fagerlund had found the empty spot on the backside at the basket, but no one had seen her.
Nice mid-range look. That's long. That was by Peterson. Here's Bile now. Dumps inside to Holder. Holder gets around. Right-handed shot won't go on the baseline. And here's Olsen now. Kicks it out. A 3 from the corner. That's short. That was by Faith Peterson.
Faith Peterson, yep.
Fagerlund fires. Another one!
I think that's 4 today.
4 from downtown for Lauren Fagerlund. Last season, she had one of the top 3-point percentages, shooting over 50% from the 3 for the Mustangs.
She almost single-handedly defeated the Red River Rough Riders at